The next one is the hinge joint. So what is a hinge joint? Open and close a door a few times. So you notice a door, when you open and close a door, what happens? There will be a joint in between, isn't it? So door has a joint. This joint, it is nothing but the hinge of the doors. So these allow the door to move back and forth. So here there will be few joints in the door. So these are the hinges. Those are the screws which you see on your door. Those are the hinges. So that only allows the door to move front and back. So why are we discussing about this? What is the relation between the door and this hinges and this joint? Let us see. If you learn this, if you read this, if you understand this activity 3, you will understand the concept of the door as well. So the next activity is activity 3. Let us look at the kind of movement allowed by the hinge. Make a cylinder with a cardboard or thick chart paper as shown in figure 8.4. Attach a small pencil to the cylinder by piercing the cylinder at the center as shown. Make a hollow half cylinder from cardboard such that the rolled up cylinder can fit inside it easily. The hollow half cylinder with the rolled up cylinder sitting inside it allows the movement like a hinge. Try to move the rolled up cylinder. How does it move? How is this movement different from what we saw with our constructed ball and socket joint? So we saw this kind of movement at the elbow. So I will be explaining you what is this. Okay, so here what we are asked to do is, we are asked to make a cylinder with a cardboard or a thick chart paper, and then what we are doing is, we are taking a small pencil, and to the cylinder we are piercing that in the center. Okay, then what we are doing, we are making a hollow cylinder. Okay, hollow half of the cylinder, as you can see in the yellow sheet from the cardboard, we are making in such a way that this brown sheet of cylinder is lying down on that yellow piece of cylinder. So there what we can see, the hollow half cylinder which is rolled up, it will be sitting upon that, and now what will happen, this will act like a hinge. Now if you try to move the rolled up cylinder, what happens, it will move only in one simple direction, but it will not go into 360 degrees. Only if you take that pencil and move, it will move only front and back position. As you can see, this is a pencil which is moving only this way and that way. So what happens here, where we find this kind of bone, it is nothing but we can find this kind of bone at our elbow, as we can move our elbow only in the backward direction and back and forth, only that much only, not in the 360 degrees direction. And we can even find this kind of bone at our knee. As you can see, this kind of bone, this kind of hinge joint is present only at the elbow and at your knee. So what we have constructed in figure 8.4 is different from hinge, of course, but it illustrates the directions in which a hinge allows movement. The elbow has a hinge joint that allows only a back and forth movement, that is in the figure 8.5. You can think of more examples of such joints, as we have discussed just now, that this kind of hinge joint is present at your elbow and at your knee, and this is completely different from the ball and socket joint and the pivotal joint. And let us look into the next joint, that is the fixed joint. So the word itself is telling that this joint is fixed, it does not move. So let us see where it is present in our body. Some joints between bones in our head are different from those we have discussed so far. So there are many bones which are different from each other, and there are many bones which are similar to each other. So the bones cannot move at these joints. So all the bones does not move, as we have already discussed. So the bones which does not move, such joints are called as fixed joints. So the bone which cannot move from its place is known as the fixed joint. When you open your mouth wide, you can move your lower jaw away from your head, isn't it? Try to move your upper jaw now. So when you open your mouth, you always see that your lower jaw, when you chew your food, you can only move your lower jaw, whereas you cannot move your upper jaw as it is fixed towards your head only. So it is not possible for us to move our upper jaw. So are you able to move it? So are you able to move your upper jaw? I don't think so. There is a joint between the upper jaw and the rest of your head which is called as the fixed joint. So the fixed joint, why it is known as? Because the joint between your upper jaw and the rest of the head is fixed. So that is the reason why we are unable to move the upper jaw. We discussed only some of these joints that connect parts of our body. What gives the different part of the body the different shapes? So we'll see what is the different parts of the body that give them the different shape. If you wanted to make a doll, what will you make first? So when you wanted to make a doll, what do you make first? Tell me. So perhaps a framework to give a doll shape before making its outer structure, isn't it? So when you want to make a doll, what do? We just give a framework. We don't start making the eyes, nose, everything. What we do is we just give their framework like this, isn't it? So this is the frame which we give when we want to make a doll. First we'll give a frame, then we will work on its beauty. So here also the same it is said about. So all the bones in our body also form a framework to give a shape to our body. So firstly, when you want to make a doll, we'll give a nice shape. If you are thinking of making a male doll, so you will make it in such a way that it will look like a male. First we will give a outline. Then even if you want to make a female Barbie doll, it is different from the male version, isn't it? So the same way the framework is given in such a way that it will give shape to our body. So this framework is called as the skeleton. So this is the framework, this is complete framework, and this is nothing but the skeleton. The skeleton is nothing but the framework. How do we know that this is the shape of a human skeleton? How do we know that the shape of the different bones in our body? We can have some idea about the shape and the number of bones in some parts of our body by feeling them. One way we could know this shape better would be the look at X-ray images of the human body. So many of us will be having a question that how do we know that a skeleton looks alike? All of us have the same framework, same skeleton. So we can touch and feel and see, and we can touch and feel our bones by how we did it in the previous activity. And the other way through which we can have a clear picture is the X-ray. If you have seen an X-ray, you will definitely know that how our bones are fixed and how our joints are fixed. So did you or anyone in your family ever have an X-ray of any part of your body taken? So if you have observed an X-ray in your if any of your family member have gone through an X-ray, or you yourself, then you will have a clear picture about the skeleton. Sometimes when we are hurt or have an accident, doctors use these X-ray images to find out about any possible injuries that might have happened into the bones. So if there are major accidents, then what happens is doctors will immediately ask for an X-ray to see if there is any internal damage to the skeleton bones. So this X-ray will give them the clear picture. So feel the bones in your forearms, upper arm, lower legs and upper legs. You can feel these bones. Try to find out the number of bones in each part. So similarly, feel the bones of your ankle and knee joints and compare these with the X-ray images. So here what we can do, we can imagine and we can see and feel our bones at the ankle and your knee and compare them in your X-ray images. Now next one, what we are going to do is bend your fingers. Are you able to bend them at every joint? So just bend your fingers and see, are you able to bend your fingers in every joint? How many bones does your middle finger have? Feel the back of your palm. It seems to have many bones, isn't it? Is your wrist flexible? Is it made up of several small bones called carpals? What will happen if it has only one bone? So what happens here is you are able to bend your fingers. So how is that we are able to bend our fingers? As you can see in this, you have many joints. As we have discussed, if there are joints present in the bones, in between the bones, then only there is a possibility of bending and stretching our fingers in any direction which it allows to.